Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Shishi Radha Gopinath Ju Ki Jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Om Magnati Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaye Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripamayi Tvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanaravindam Vajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tatom Manasti Katyena Kapi. I first of all offer millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all our Rupanuga Guru Varga and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. Dandavat pranams. So, continuing with reading from Sri Radha, Our Supreme Shelter, this recent book that's just been published by our GVP. And we were discussing yesterday the three aspects of Mahaprabhu in comparison to Srimati Radhika's three aspects of Vrishabhanu Nandini, Viyogini, and Sangyogini. Remember? So last night, at the end, we were discussing about the specialities of Navadvip Dham in comparison to Puri. This was one of Srila Gurudev's favorite topics. He would discuss regularly every single Gaur Punim Parikrama. He would discuss the greatness of Navadvip, and that would always come into a comparison with Puri Dham. So Puri Dham is like Dwarka. So yesterday at the end there was some discussion on whether or not Mahaprabhu was fully tasting Mahabhav in Navadvip. So what do you think, Dayal? Is Mahaprabhu, Navadvip is the highest Dham. So all the highest tastes must be in Navadvip Dham, correct? So is that taste for Madanakya Mahabhav that Mahaprabhu came to taste in Navadvip? How is it in Navadvip? Internally, which is not easy to appreciate or understand, because he has explained many times how externally Mahaprabhu has the potential to taste Radha Bhav. But it's not until he goes to the Godavari river and meets Godavari. What do I say?
Godavari. You say Godavari.
So if you didn't hear what I say, what are you challenging me?
She says you didn't hear.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Godavari, so it's Godavari.
Godavari.
First A is a long name. Godavari.
Godavari. Okay, I understand now. You have to explain it, you see. He's a teacher. You have to say the first A is a long A, then I'll understand. Godavari. Godavari. Don't say it wrong again. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Vichitri. No, I love these lessons from Vichitri. How can I learn? I come to the class. If I don't learn anything, what's the point of coming? So I'm learning my language, Godavari. So until Mahaprabhu goes to Godavari, then he is not trained in the school of Vishaka or Ramananda Rai. So Gurudev has said many times that Krishna needs to come into that school of Sri Radha through the professor he used to call Vishaka. Vishaka was born on the same day, same time as Sri Radha. So Vishaka knows all of Radha's moods, especially. So she is fully qualified to train or to teach, to show the path for Krishna to fulfill his 3 desires. Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanaiva Swadyenadvuta Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadiya Sokyam Kasyam Mad Anubhavita Kidrisham Vetilovat Tadbhavadya Samajani Satchikaravo Sindhu Harindu. This verse we should recite regularly. So, this is describing his 3 internal desires. So, in Navadvip, Krishna, Mahaprabhu very often takes the mood of Krishna, because the Udipan of Navadvip is very inspiring him in that mood, whereas in Puri, in this Viyogini Radha, in this separation mood, that all these 3 desires can be fully, we call Puri Dham Vipralamba Dham, the Dham of separation. It's where Mahaprabhu wept with all those tears and lamented and so many things. In Navadvip he doesn't do like this. In Navadvip very often he's demonstrating his Sadbhuj form, his different aspects, his Nrsingadev form, etc. we discussed yesterday. So, Mahaprabhu has the potential in Navadvip to relish this Mahabhav of that Sri Radha is experiencing. But it's described in this Walking with the Saint book, if you're interested, in March 2007. I think it's on page 75. And this question is asked. So I'm just going to read Gurudev's answer just for absolute clarification. It's very, very important that we understand this point. It's paramount that we understand it. Without understanding all the glory of Satchidananda Gaurahari, then how are we expected to actually make progress? Mahaprabhu is our Bhajan Shiksha Guru. And so every aspect of his life, of his teachings, of his pastimes, all these aspects are absolutely essential for us to progress. So Gurudev is answering one question. Well, first of all, I'll describe to you what Padmanabha Maharaj is asking. He says, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in Srivas Anga and performing his other Navadvip Leelas, he fulfilled his, Sri Krishna's, 3 desires, Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanaiva, which we just described. Is it that his going to Puri and Godavari was for teaching the Jiva souls how to follow this path? This is his question. You understand the question? Is it that his going to Puri and Godavari was for teaching the Jiva souls to follow this path? In other words, was it for his own desires to fulfill these 3 desires that he went to Puri? He couldn't fulfill these desires in Navadvip because that separation mood is not there in Navadvip. In Navadvip it's all Sambhog Leela. Navadvip is the same as Vrindavan, Gupta Vrindavan. So this Vipralamba is not present, this Viyogini, which is what the mood is of Sri Radha when Krishna goes to Dwarka. When Krishna goes to Dwarka, then the intensity of her separation increases over 100 years when staying at Udavkeri. This pastime is so heart-moving when she experiences those Divyanmad, those different jalpas, Chitra Jalpa, Alap Jalpa, those different jalpas, etc. So now Gurudev is explaining this specifically. He's saying it is not like that. He is playing sweet pastimes in Navadvip, And he tasted all these moods, the fulfillment of his desires, in Puri. In Puri, he's fulfilling his desires. In the Gambhira with Rai Ramananda and Swarup Damodar. In Navadvip, he enjoyed his Balya Leela baby pastimes, and then his Poganda Leela, early fresh youth pastimes, of teaching. Afterwards he went to Gaya, where he changed, and later he went to Jagannath Puri. He especially learned Radha's moods when he went to the Godavari and accepted Ramananda, who is Vishaka Saki, as his Shiksha Guru. After that he again went to Jagannath Puri, and there he tasted these three moods. This is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter Adi Leela, chapter 13, verse 26 to 39. So do you understand clearly that even though Navadvip is the highest conception, and we should meditate on Mahaprabhu in Navadvip, but Mahaprabhu was fulfilling his innermost desires in Puridam. But then now Gurudev explains a little bit later in this conversation that actually internally he's experiencing the fulfillment of these desires. So Ashram Maharaj asks this question: so is Mahaprabhu also tasting Madanakya Mahabhav in Navadvip? If Navadvip is the highest conception, is he tasting Madanakya Mahabhav? And Gurudev answers, yes, but not externally, inside. So this is not easy to understand. How can we understand what's happening inside Krishna? But certainly externally, and generally our speaking and teaching about this topic is that Mahaprabhu did fulfill his... When Mahaprabhu, his body becomes like a tortoise at the Sringadwaha gate, when he breaks out of the Gambhira, then he's foaming at the mouth and his eyes are rolled back in his head. He's tasting, he's experiencing the highest ecstasy of this separation mood that Sri Radha was experiencing in Uddhav Keri. So this is the nature of Mahaprabhu's Leela. So it's very important that we understand this tattva. This is Siddhanta, this is tattva. You know, there's not many other groups that actually discuss these topics with the same depth that we are discussing. And we should be very capable of explaining all these things. Don't just listen and then have it come in one ear and out the other, but try to retain a clear understanding of the difference between Navadvip and Puridam and Godavari. See the difference, because this is what Gurudev is talking about here, and relating them to the different moods of Sri Radha. When he's in Puri, what mood is he in Puri? Mahaprabhu. What mood is he in Puri? Viyogini, yes. And what mood is he in Navadvip? And what mood is he in Godavari? Just have to hear you say it. just to give me confidence that yes. Yeah, this Kurukshetra is like Godavari. It's the same. So I'm continuing reading now. So that was quite clear. Everyone fully appreciates this. Yeah. Viyogini, separation. He's feeling this in separation. This is Madanakya Mahabhav or Mohanakya Mahabhav. Mohanakya Mahabhav and Modan Akya Mahabhav, these are separation ecstasies. It's higher because Navadvip is Gupta Vrindavan. So everything in Vrindavan is Madhurya, sweet. And in Puri, it's Aishwarya. Actually, it's described the residents of Puri have 4 arms. Puri is like Dwarka. But the question was asked specifically, if it's the highest, then is Krishna, Nimai, able to taste that Madanakya Mahabhav of Sri Radha in Navadvip? That was the question that was asked. And Gurudev said, yes, internally, which is actually a little vague. It's not explicit. You really have to chant and meditate to begin to appreciate what that actually means. It's not just straightforward, like, no, he has to go to Puri to actually get the Udipan, to taste those moods. That's simple to understand. But it's not so easy to understand that internally he's able to taste this separation mood in Navadvip. And actually, ultimately, it's because of the Sankirtan Ras that takes place at Srivasanga. Because of this Sankirtan Ras, that Sankirtan Ras is the same as the Rasa Lila. If Navadvip is the same as Vrindavan, then there must be Rasa Lila in Navadvip also, right? Otherwise it's not the same. So that Rasa Lila takes place in Srivasangam, in the house of Srivas Thakur, in conjunction in the atmosphere of the Sankirtan Ras. It's the Sankirtan, the pinnacle of Sankirtan Ras is that Ras Lila in Navadvip. That's the meaning of that. Gurudev wanted us to understand these truths. He spoke so many times. You know, we have different flavors and moods of presenting Mahaprabhu, but we should know this Siddhanta and Tattva. This is why we're meeting this evening, on these evenings, to read Gurudev's books directly and understand clearly, for all time, what is the Siddhanta in this. So you all understand? Raghunath, you understand this? It's page 12. Shashikala.
What was the mood of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip when he was chanting Gopi, Gopi, Gopi? Then that's why then because no one was expecting him. What was his mood at that time?
Mahaprabhu's mood was very, very special at that time. She's asking what was the mood of Mahaprabhu when he was chanting Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. At this point in time, Mahaprabhu's meditation was fully immersed in the gopis, in Sri Radha. And this was the prelude to him taking sannyas, which is Naimitika Lila. Remember? This is what Gurudev's been talking about here. Naimitik Lila. It's not Nitya Lila. It doesn't happen in the apricot world. It happens in this prakat world. So this was the prelude to him being prompted to take sannyas. Because the students, they didn't like him, they tried to caution him not to chant Gopi. Why are you chanting this? And Mahaprabhu became so enraged, he grabbed a stick and he ran for them. He was in such a mood of the gopis. This mood was rising in his heart, which meant that it was time to leave Navadvip and actually manifest these moods fully, which he did. Straight after this, he takes sannyas. He swims across the Ganga, and then he goes away from Navadvip. He takes residence in Puri to fulfill this rising bar that's actually manifesting. This was external. But he's contemplating that. But it's a very important point that you brought up there. But as far as actually whether it was Madanaki and Mahabhav, I don't know. I haven't read specifically. Does anybody know what exactly is the term for the bhav that he was in? Certainly it was extraordinary, and it's like a real bridge point. When he starts that calling out to the gopis in such heartfelt way that he was so entranced that he even chased the students with a stick. And then he comes back afterwards and says, this is not, then he heard that the students were actually planning to come and beat him up. You know, a whole gang of 1,000 students were going to come and teach him a lesson because he'd been attacking the Brahmins. And they thought they would teach him. So Mahaprabhu was lamenting. He was thinking, I haven't come to turn people away from me. This is not my point in coming to the planet. These people, they're becoming angry with me because I'm having these moods. So then he understood, I must take this sannyas vesh. And in that vesh, then I will be honored and respected sufficiently so that these moods can come to their full completion. You understand? And then he's ordered by his mother, you take residence in Puri. So then he goes there, and then these moods fully come out. But this is the beginning. But exactly the stage, I haven't read. Gurudev can answer those questions. So I'm carrying on reading from page 12, Raghunath. Second paragraph down. On one hand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, but on the other hand, he cannot leave Navadvip, just as Krishna can never leave Vrindavan. So, who goes to Puri? If Mahaprabhu never leaves Navadvip, who goes to Puri? Who goes to Dwarka if Krishna never leaves Vrindavan? This is what...
An expansion of himself.
Yes. A manifestation. Another manifestation. It's like when Krishna goes to Mathura, what happens? He stops at Akruragat. And then he's taking bath with Balaram. Akrura is sitting... Akrura is taking bath and Krishna Balaram is sitting on the chariot. And then Akrura sees in the water, he sees Krishna and Balaram are here. And then he goes back to the chariot and then he sees that they're there also. He actually sees this expansion of Krishna and Balaram. This is when Krishna doesn't go a single foot outside of Vrindavan. Neither does Balaram. Rohini Nandan Balaram.
Srila Gurudev explained that by the power of his mantra, he called his Ishtadev, which is Mathuresh, Krishna and Balaram.
Aha.
And so he actually saw another set of Krishna. First he saw Vishnu on Anantashesh. Then he saw Krishna and Balaram in the forest. And then he saw Krishna and Balaram in the chariot. And he was very confused. What's going on? But by his mantra, he called his Ishtadev. And he took his Ishtadev with him to Mathura.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. You all heard that? Understand? That his Ishtadev is Mathuresh Krishna. And it was his Ishtadev when he was doing his mantras that he actually saw. And it was that personality that he took with him back to Mathura. So Krishna is eternally in Mathura. He's eternally in Dwarka. These are Nitya Dhams. Dwarka is a Nitya Dham. Mathura is a Nitya Dham. So Krishna resides in those Dhams eternally. But it's not Brajendra Nandan Krishna. Gurudev so much wanted us to understand these differences between Krishna in these different holy Dhams, his different moods. Because once we understand the different personalities, then naturally we understand the different moods, the different flavors. Then we start to understand, appreciate actually what is the nature of Braja Prem. What is the nature of Mathura Prem? What is the nature of Dwarka Prem? This gets our wheels rolling to try to understand the real nature of Krishna, the real personality. There's so much to learn about Krishna. It's so vast. We have to be sparked somehow or other to go into this area to discover who is the Lord of my life. So Gurudev asks, so who goes to Puri? So it's exactly the same with Mahaprabhu going to Puri. Is there a parallel to the Akrura pastime? I can't think of one off the top of my head. There probably is, you know. I mean, Mahaprabhu, he goes wandering around in Gaudadesh afterwards, and then he's tricked by Nityananda to come back to Shantipur. Right, remember? And then he's brought back, and then all the residents, they all come from Navadvip to Shantipur. And they have a festival there for 3 or 4 days. After Mahaprabhu has shaved up, and he's taken his sannyas vesh. He doesn't go to Navadvip, he goes to Shantipur. Shantipur is on the way to Puri. It's not the same Dham as Navadvip Dham. And everyone comes It's like all the Brijbasis come and they all witness Mahaprabhu in his sannyas vesh. But this is Naimitic Leela. This is not Nitya Leela. This is what Gurudev said.
Brijbasis also went to Mathura to see Krishna when he was wrestling. When Mahaprabhu,
That's right.
When he shakes his head, there's a massive shift.
Yes.
At that point in time. That's why Gurudev would weep at that moment when he's telling that Leela. There's a shift at that point. When he takes off in the middle of the night, swims miles down the Ganga and goes and has his head shaved, there's a definite, there's a cut between that pastime and that pastime.
Yes.
And even though they all went to see him, still there's something, there's difference, they're seeing a difference, a physical difference as well.
Well, his manifestation is now on the way to becoming Viyogini. He's come from Vrishabhanu Nandini, from that mood. Now this separation mood is going to begin. That's what began with the Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. This was the mood that started there when he was calling Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. This separation mood was coming so high. So who goes to Puri? A manifestation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only goes there and takes sannyas. Sannyas is not part of his Nitya Leela. So if you go to Swetadvip, you don't see Mahaprabhu there with a shaved head. Mahaprabhu has beautiful, long, flowing, dark locks of hair, just like Krishna. This is Mahaprabhu in Swetadvip.
So what do they call him there?
Nimai.
Nimai or Gaurahari?
Gaurahari. Vishramba, yeah.
It's pre-Mahaprabhu.
I didn't go there, I don't know what they call it. Sannyas is not part of his, but many of the acharyas, like Prabodhananda Saraswati and Lochan Das, they describe him only with his long hair. They actually don't take him out of Navadvip. Many of the bhajans that you sing, Mahaprabhu has his long flowing hair. They don't describe him with a shaved head. Here in Vrindavan he has long hair. He hasn't had that shift. Kishori just explained. That massive shift. Sannyas is not part of his Nitya Leela. Do you understand? It is like Naimitic Leela, his occasional pastimes enacted only in this Prakat Dham. This is what we're appreciating. The difference between the Dhams. The difference between Aprakat and Prakat Dham. It's very wonderful to contemplate. While we're chanting, if we consider these topics, while we're chanting Hare Krishna, then some much deeper appreciation will come in the heart. This is the purpose of our chanting, is so that we can understand. We're given the roadmap, so to speak, by the Shastra, but then the fuel for traveling on the road is coming from our practice, our sadhana, from our chanting. Specifically, Mahaprabhu has given us the gift of the mantra to enable us to enter into these conceptions. If we're not sufficiently taking the petrol, the fuel, we're not going to be able to travel correctly on the road. So the fuel is very, very important to be fully fueled up. Sannyas is not part of his Nitya Leela. Do you understand? It is like Naimitic Leela. For example, the birth of Krishna in Prakat Leela is his Naimitic Leela, and the marriage ceremonies performed in Dwarka are also his Naimitic Leela. In Vrindavan, there is only the idea that Krishna has taken birth. Why is Gurudev saying this? Why is he telling us all these things? So that we have some understanding of that land of Gokul. We have some understanding of that spiritual world. Because we were saying the other day, oh, you just do 16 rounds, offer some incense, and then you go back to Godhead. But you don't understand all these topics. How can that be possible? These topics are here for us to pick up and digest and absorb ourselves in. What else will we absorb our time in? I can think of so many things. But that's what we do. We waste our time. unless it's in direct seva, then so much you should sometimes write the 24 hours of the day and just see how many minutes of the day are taken away from direct service. And then we look to the extreme pinnacle of all examples of the Goswamis. You know, practically 22 hours a day they would be engaged. We can take inspiration from this. Always, as we're progressing, we're always trying to fine-tune whatever stage we're up to. Whatever I did today, tomorrow I will try and fine-tune it more clearly to achieve my goal. But it's certainly true that Maya, but the Maya is not an external Maya, it's my attraction to the external sense objects. It's not that, especially in Vrindavan, you don't have to have so much distraction externally as you would in America or some other place like this. But here the attraction is my own failing to connect with that supreme consciousness. And once we begin to connect, it just goes on and on and on, tightening and tightening and tightening. That's the dynamic of it. In Goloka, Vrindavan, there is only the idea that Krishna has taken birth, or in Dwarka that he marries. Similarly, in Svetadweep, in the eternal realm of Golok, situated near Vrindavan, there is no sannyas lila. There is only a mood that he has taken sannyas. In this world, that mood takes an actual form, and thus Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas and leaves Navadvip and goes to Puri. Therefore, Navadvip is the highest dham, not Puri, because there in Navadvip, that is an eternal residence. Navadvip is Nitya dham. The pastimes in Navadvip are Nitya. So what Mahaprabhu is doing in Svetadweep is what he's doing in his Navadvip pastimes. Joking with the young girls, telling them that they'll get a blind husband with 6 co-wives if they don't give him the offerings from their offering, etc. Performing all these beautiful childhood pastimes, filling his mouth with water and squirting all the brahmanas in the Ganga, and playing so many tricks, just like it's Krishna. Krishna was a naughty boy, so many times. Mahaprabhu also is the same nature, like that. This is Nitya, not Naimittika.
You switched the clock when some ladies were taking bath.
The ladies and men were all taking bath in the Ganga, and Mahaprabhu, he just moved all the cloths around. So they all came out of their snan and none of them could find their cloths, you know. These sort of, pranks is what Mahaprabhu. And pull their legs away under the water. The Brahman would be chanting his anik, and then he'd come under the water and pull their legs away so they'd fall in the water. I mean, so many naughty things like this, just like Krishna. The same mood as Krishna. This is Nitya. These pastimes are nothing but sweet. These pastimes, they just make us smile because it's Madhurya. This is Madhurya. But in Puri, Mahaprabhu is very austere. Mahaprabhu is only eating, select times each day, very carefully. He's doing his regular snan in the ocean. He's going regularly to see Jagannath Dev. He's doing so many regulated duties. And he's speaking to his associates and so on. It's a much more formal atmosphere. But in that formal atmosphere, Mahaprabhu is tasting the highest relish of the fulfillment of these 3 desires. So for the sadhak in this world, we are following the Mahaprabhu in Puri, but we're still nevertheless worshipping the Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. Simultaneously, Gurudev has told us very clearly, when we're chanting our Gaura mantra, Gaura Gayatri, we're meditating on Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. But when we're performing our sadhan, we're remembering Mahaprabhu in Puri. In Manashiksha, Gurudev declares that Mahaprabhu is our bhajan, shiksha, guru. So how he is performing his bhajan, we are emulating that. Not imitating, we're emulating. That means we're following. We're taking inspiration from his bhajan, and we're endeavoring to follow in that same light. You see? What a fascinating topic. The difference between Puri and Navadvip. Gurudev would always churn these, because he wanted to interest us in these topics, to get full focus and concentration, so that our whole selves will become immersed in these topics, and therefore make progress. What is Puri? It is Dwarka. How? What's the dynamic of Dwarka? In Dwarka, they all know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all know that for sure. Most of them are Nitya Siddha Parikas. Many of them are also demigods from the higher realm. But they all the demigods in Krishna Leela that are often referred to, they all know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Krishna is performing his childhood pastimes, they're sitting, watching, astonished, because they all have the conception that this is actually God who's been chased by his mother, and they can't understand it. But Krishna himself, he's what's described as Sarvagyan and Mugdata. He's all-knowing, and yet he doesn't know. He doesn't know his Godhead when Mother Yashoda is chasing him. He's totally immersed in the prem, reciprocating the prem of Mother Yashoda with such relish. He's hungry for prem. Krishna is hungry for that churning of prem. He wants to taste that rasa, raso vaisa. This is Krishna at his pinnacle in Braj. But the demigods, they're perceiving this, and they are knowing that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But even though they know that, they sometimes still become afraid. Their faith is not so strong. When they see them all entering into the body of Aghasura, they're thinking, oh my God, God is going to be eaten. This is what they're thinking. Their faith is not so fixed. They're thinking actually Krishna will die. They're not completely 100% sure. Even the king of the demigods, he comes down and what is it? He gives that parijat flower to Narad. Well, that's in Dwarka. But,
King of heaven comes down.
huh?
King of heaven comes down.
Yes, well, Govardhan Hill, lifting Govardhan Hill. Even though he knows that Krishna is God, but still he becomes covered over and thinks that he's just a, independent-minded young boy. And what is he doing? Telling the elders not to offer the oblations to Indra. That was a big offense. But Yogamaya has a hand in everything, because Krishna wants to be the hero. What greater hero can you have than lifting a whole mountain and all the people coming underneath it? But the dynamic of this would be indicative that surely this is Aishwarya. Surely this is Aishwarya in Braj. So why is it not Aishwarya? Why is it not Aishwarya? Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill? That's right. Actually, Nanda Baba was holding up. The cowherd men were holding up.
It's Aishwarya, and full Aishwarya. But because of the Madhurya in the hearts of the Brajavasis, it depends on their mood. Krishna is showing all sorts of Aishwarya. It's fully there, but it's explained like one straw and 40 manas or gallons of milk. Sometimes it manifests, but it's still there in completeness.
It's never considered Aishwarya because all the residents are viewing him as just the little boy. Mother Yashoda, while he's holding up, she's feeding him makhan. She's massaging his arm. That nobody can see. This is the extraordinary nature of Braj, that nobody can see Krishna as that Supreme Personality of Godhead. They only see him as this little boy who's dependent on their love. He's crying, he wants to be fed, he wants this, he sits on their laps, he wants so many things. They feel that Krishna is completely dependent on my affection to him. Without my affection, Krishna will die. Krishna will be completely miserable. Certainly the gopis know this. without a doubt. So this whole understanding of what is transcendental prema, what is the transcendental mood and love of that spiritual realm, this is all coming through the mercy of Mahaprabhu for us to appreciate that. And when we drink his medicine of pure Nam, then we can taste these truths very easily. So Gurudev is saying, what is Puri? It is Dwarka. How? Subhadra cannot come to Vrindavan. But it's described at the very end that Subhadra does come to Vrindavan from Dwarka. So explain that. Balaram comes first. Remember at the very, very last pastimes? They're all sitting together. They're wondering how to pacify the Brijbasis, who are just a whisper away from leaving their bodies. They're having a big meeting.
That's just a visit, not residence.
Huh?
That's just a visit, not a residence.
No, at the very end I'm talking about. Like when the three actually enter Braj. At the very end. It's in the Rath Yatra book, The Origins of Rath Yatra, Gurudev's, the third history. It's described that Baladev goes back first, or Subhadra is actually in front at that time, then Baladev comes, and then finally Krishna comes, and then Srimati Radharani is a whisper away from leaving her body, and that time Baladev, Subhadra and Krishna, they all melt into the forms of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra we see today in Jagannath Puri. And Narad, he begs for a benediction that time, can these forms be present in the world so we can worship this height of separation mood that Krishna is experiencing. So that's at the very, very, very end of Krishna's manifest path. This is after Prabhash. This is after Jara the hunter has actually pierced the arrow into his ankle, into his heel, and he's apparently left this world. He comes back then for the Brijvasis. Subhadra cannot come into Vrindavan. I mean, when Gurudev's writing, there are so many things in every single sentence. There are many things that happen. Gurudev can only say on, this is only two-dimensional, black and white words, but there's many other aspects behind it all. Subhadra cannot come to Vrindavan. The sons of Vasudeva, as well as Baladev and of Dwarka, and also Vasudeva Krishna himself, also cannot come to Vrindavan. When Vasudeva Krishna reaches the border, then all of a sudden he's manifesting his cowherd attire. He's no longer dressed as a royal prince. There's no space in Vrindavan for that mood of royalty, of that opulence, that Aishwarya, which is so attractive in Dwarka and to the Dwarkavasis. They love that regal, royal atmosphere.
I'm a little bit confused.
You're a little bit, I'm quite confused.
No, just here he's saying that Vasudeva Krishna cannot enter Vrindavan. Vasudeva Krishna is one of the first manifestations. No, Krishna to Matadesh Krishna, this is Vasudeva also. But we understand that it is the Narayana or Vishnu within Krishna that's killing the demons. So even the expansion of the expansion of the expansion of the expansion, I think 5 times or at least a few times, is within Vrindavan, within the form of Krishna. So how is it that the first expansion or second expansion of Krishna cannot?
Because as soon as they come in, they melt. Just like when Mathuresh Krishna comes with Vasudeva brought across the Jamuna, as soon as he comes across, he immediately merges into the body of Krishna. He doesn't exist any longer on the bed of Mother Yashoda.
So they can come in, they just cannot remain independently manifested in a sense.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Simple.
Because he said he can't come in, so I was just...
Well, that means he can't come in. That means that personality independently doesn't come into Vrindavan. Otherwise there would be 2 Krishnas in Vrindavan. He manifests at one time to the gopis in his 4-armed form, but that's just like a play. That's not like a real manifestation.
I guess from Tattva perspective, Krishna, Om Purnamada Purnamidam, never loses any part of himself, even if he expands himself unlimitedly. So even if Vasudeva is manifested outside, he still has the Vasudeva inside.
Yes,
He can't lose any part of himself.
No, amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's why we can't figure it out.
No, we shouldn't try.
Take comfort.
We shouldn't try. We should always appreciate every single thing that we're talking about is to us achintya bhav. But without an appreciation of this achintya bhav and without understanding, yes, I don't have the understanding of this. I just have the prayer to Srila Gurudev to give me some little appreciation of this. But we should always be in a state of wonderment at these pastimes taking place. Bhaktivinoda Thakur refers to this phrase, achintya bhav, constantly, without this mood of appreciating that I can't if we try with our intellect to grab it, we're going to fail every single time. There requires a significant amount of humility to understand that we cannot understand this. If we start to think that, oh, I am very knowledgeable, I know so many things like this, then that's the sort of death knell, so to speak, for the spirit to progress forward, because we cannot presume to know these things. We should always be like childlike. Like I can remember my Gurudev when he was 90 years old was so many times just like a child in all kinds of playful things that he would do. One time he was in England and he was on a special diet and he'd been given these muffins to take and he wasn't supposed to eat them, and Madhav Maharaj was close by checking him. So Gurudev quietly ate all the inside of the muffin but left the outside of the muffin there on the plate. So many things like that he would do regularly. And then the lady who had made the muffins, she actually took the plate out and she was very disappointed. But then when she saw inside, she was so joyful that she realized that actually Gurudev had honored them anyway, but no one else knew about it. But he would perform regularly very playful, innocent pastimes like this. It not becoming such a... At the same time, he was totally grave and totally sober and like a mountain. One time I was sitting with him and he was sitting on his bed and I asked him, we were working on the Bhagavad Gita at the time, I asked him, what is the meaning of stita pragyan? You know this word stita pragyan? It means like fixed, stita, fixed in your intelligence, fixed in your devotion. And Gurudev, he leant forward on the bed and made himself look like a mountain, like solid, like a rock. And he stayed like that for about 30-40 seconds, just showing me this is stita pragyan, this mood of gravity, like you're 1,000 years old, is what he looked like at that time. So these two flavors are there in the pure devotee that he can demonstrate to us. But certainly this childlike, and only this achintya bhav, it's this achintya bhav that we must be appreciating now, hearing these topics. Vimala Devi, yes. Yogamaya, yes. She's an aspect of, definitely Subhadra is an aspect of Yogamaya. Purnamasi is the embodiment of Yogamaya and Vrindadevi in Braj. Savitri, do you know this tattva or Subhadra? Okay, we'll come back to it, Shashikala, but it's a fact that Subhadra is an aspect of Yogamaya in Dwarka. She is the representative of Yogamaya in Dwarka, whereas Purnamasi is the representative here in Braj. Krishna himself also cannot come to Vrindavan. This is Vasudeva Krishna, cannot come to Vrindavan. So it is only in Puri that Mahaprabhu plays the role of a sannyas. Where? Gurudev says, in Dwarka. What need does Mahaprabhu have to go to Puri? This pastime only takes place in Prakat Leela, where that mood has taken shape. Understand? that mood has become a tangible reality in the Prakat pastimes, in the manifestation in Puridan. In Aprakat Leela, there is only the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking sannyas and going to Puri, but here, in Prakat Leela, this mood takes shape, and he really does accept sannyas and leave for Puri. From Puri he goes to Sri Rangam in South India, and there he meets with Venkatabhatta and Gopal Bhatta and others, and enacts so many pastimes. Next he goes to Godavari, Tata, the bank of the Godavari river, and there he meets Rai Ramananda. In all the pastimes that took place in Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always in a mood of separation from Krishna. That's Viyogini Radha. Mahaprabhu has taken the Bhavan Kanti of Sri Radha. So the experiencing that, this is what Gurudev is talking about on these pages, these moods of Radha, applying them to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In all the pastimes that took place in Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always in a mood of separation from Krishna. He was always feeling the moods of Radhika and tasting them. You should understand that this is similar to what I have explained about Krishna in Vrindavan. The Mahaprabhu in Dwarka, Puri, is a manifestation of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. In Navadvip, he is always in his Kaishora Leela, or pastimes of youth. He never takes sannyas. In Navadvip, he takes birth, plays with other boys, and always performs Sankirtan. There is no Aishwarya there at all. This is hard to appreciate sometimes because we know that, for example, Murari Gupta, he saw the Lord Varaha. Advaita Acharya, he sees the universal form. Srivas Thakur, he sees Nrsingadev. Who else? There was a Sadbhuj manifestation. Chandkazi also. So there are so many Aishwarya forms manifested during Krishna's Leela, during Mahaprabhu's Leela in Navadvip. But these manifestations are Naimitika Leela. They must be Naimitik Leela because these pastimes would not take place in Swetadvip.
What about when Mahaprabhu showed his universal mother form to all of the devotees?
Universal what form?
Mother. If you read Chaitanya Bhagavat, all of the devotees saw this great Aishwarya in Srivasangam manifested.
And it's like when he sits on the throne of Vishnu in Srivasangam. Yes. So, but Gurudev is saying here that there is no Aishwarya.
It must be that it doesn't have any lasting effect on the devotees at that point.
Just like lifting Govardhan Hill, yes.
Wow, but then it doesn't.
And what the way it's described in Chaitanya Bhagavat is that straight after this, Mahaprabhu would be trying to take the dust from their feet. Immediately that veil would cover them from that. He would be weeping humbly. Oh, please give me your mercy, please give me your mercy. This is after he's just terrified them with these huge manifestations that he's shown. So, very wonderful.
There's one case of extreme Aishwarya. When baby Nimai kept stealing the offering of the Brahmana, who was staying in the home of Jagannath Mishra. And he did it again and again and again.
3 times.
And then finally he revealed who he truly was. And then he told the Brahmin, but don't tell anyone, otherwise they'll laugh at me, and if they laugh at me, I'll have to kill you. So there's a bit of Aishwarya there, because he instilled some fear in him there.
Also, like that artist, Vijay, when they were dancing in Navadvip, then he's an artist, Vijay is described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, and they stopped for a rest on the bank of the Ganga, and Mahaprabhu, he just throws his arm across the chest of this artist, Vijay, and Vijay is looking at this arm, and he sees it decorated with thousands of jewels and just radiating with colors and just becomes completely like intoxicated with this. And then he's just about to shout out and scream, and the hand comes up and Mahaprabhu says, "Don't tell anyone." And then Vijay, he jumps up after that and he just runs around and around. He's not saying anything. He's just running around, and for 3 or 4 days he doesn't eat, and everyone thinks he's gone completely puggle. But he can't speak it because Mahaprabhu's told him, "Don't tell anyone," just like with the Brahmin like this. The same story. So in that sense, it's covered. In that sense, his Aishwarya is always immediately covered. Like, yes.
So Advaita seems to be this reality that he is Supreme Personality of God, and even now
Well, Advaitacharya, of course, is Mahavishnu, Sadashiva also.
he is on the Sachimata may not have been, and some other may
Yes. Yeah.
but Advaitacharya should be.
Yes. But still, Mahaprabhu will beat up Advaitaracharya. He'll fight with him. And he'll have such a familiar relationship with him to immediately cover that mood of Aishwarya. This is the point that we're discussing, this mood of Aishwarya being covered. But it's the same dynamic in Braj. How when Krishna performed any, a remarkable pastime, he would be covered over by Yogamaya. Yogamaya has the ability to, Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra also, so many occasions when Yogamaya has to step in and cover that Aishwarya, so to maintain the Madhurya. But it's a good point to consider that Advaitaracharya, he was often seeing like this. He was saying, "I know who you are, you're that Supreme Person." And Nimai would also say, "Yes, you called me." He would tell him, "Yes, I am that one, I am that one." He would say repeatedly. In Navadvip, he takes birth, plays with other boys, and always performs Sankirtan. There is no Aishwarya there at all. In Puri, that means at all. That means Yogamaya covers it when it rises, like we've been describing. In Puri, on the other hand, the pastimes contain so much opulence. Not everyone can approach Mahaprabhu. They must go through Rai Ramananda and Swarup Damodar and beg permission from them, and then they can go to Mahaprabhu. So it's very restricted. It's like in Navadvip or Braj, Krishna is totally accessible to everybody. And what is Mahaprabhu doing there? He is performing a pastime of great Aishwarya. No one can act like this. No one can act like this. Navadvip Leela is the place of his human-like pastimes, Naravat Leela, and Puri is the place of his pastimes of opulence and majesty, Aishwarya Leela. All this is to substantiate the glories of Navadvip. Gurudev is explaining this to show the excellence of Navadvip in comparison to Puri. This is what the whole explanation is showing. In South India, he meets Rai Ramananda and hears from him. Is there anything to hear or learn in Navadvip? Does Mahaprabhu have to learn? Does he take any lessons in Navadvip? He goes to Gaya to meet Ishwarapuri, and he learns there the excellence of devotional service from, or appears to learn that from Ishwarapuri, and then he comes back. But there's no learning like that in Navadvip that is there in between Ramananda Rai and Mahaprabhu. Ramananda Rai is asking all those questions in Rai Ramananda Sambad. Mahaprabhu is asking question after question after question after question. This is like an Aishwarya mood. All of his pastimes there are Naravat Leela in Navadvip. In Puri, his form sometimes becomes like that of a tortoise, or sometimes his limbs become elongated, his joints disconnected and held together only by his skin. At that time he becomes so long. This is Aishwarya. No human being can do like this. So another reason Navadvip Leela is like Vrindavan Leela is that it is Naravat Leela. Therefore, Navadvip is the highest of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dhams, and Puri is where he tastes the moods of Radhika in Gambhira. Gambhira is second in importance. Nevertheless, for the sadhak, Gurudev has explained after this, it's the most important place for the sadhak to go and appreciate those moods of Sri Radha that Mahaprabhu manifested himself. Through those ecstasies, it was in Puridam that he manifested those ecstasies. Navadvip is the same as Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu's journey to South India is likened to Sangyogini Radha. Why does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu go to South India? What is the need? In Apricot Leela, he would never go there and leave Navadvip. In Apricot Leela, he would never go and leave Navadvip. But in Prakat Leela, he goes to South India. At that time, he is likened to Sangyogini Radha. So we should try to know all these Siddhantas and then chant and remember them. You should not exercise your mental powers to endeavor to understand them. That's what we just spoke about. We should appreciate it is achintya bhav, that is inconceivable. These are inconceivable, but we relish hearing about them. We relish reading about them. We relish thinking about them, but we always appreciate their inconceivable nature. If we start to think or imagine that yes, I am there, I am that one, how much pride will come in? How much chance of sahajiyism can actually also come in? If we start to believe, yes, now I understand all this, I am very knowledgeable on these things, then it kills everything. As soon as that pride raises its head, it immediately destroys the thought process there. Should not exercise your mental powers to endeavor to understand them. Otherwise you will be bewildered by Maya, so try to chant more. If we try to go the path of the Jnani, it's like the path of the Jnani is like the ascending. We were speaking this morning. This is called Aroha Panta, the ascending path. Our path is the Avaroha Panta, the descending path. That means that the light on the back of the neck needs to be seen by the powers. So you need to bow your head so that benediction can actually flow down. You'll be bewildered by Maya. No, you can listen on the tape. When we're trying to receive the divine illumination, that's going to manifest when our heads are bowed, not when we're arrogantly trying to access it. That's not a part of the mood of that consciousness. It's only the softness of humility and sweetness towards the Supreme Lord, who is so much we cannot even conceive, how much greater than we can ever conceive of ourselves. So it's that mood of devotion. That is Bhakti Devi. That's the aspiration for Bhakti Devi, that devotion. Whatever I am speaking is not my view. I am explaining the views of the Guru Parampara. These are rarely revealed truths. This is what I've said a number of times. It's not in every assembly that you're going to discuss in a very simple way these truths. I'm not cranking out some sort of siddhanta, I'm discussing it with you. And there's not many places where you can have, because it has to be in a congenial atmosphere. The heart has to be gentle. It has to be in a place where it can absorb without some sort of fear. Is the dynamic within Aishwarya. Within Aishwarya there is fear, like Arjuna on the battlefield when he suddenly saw Krishna's universal form. He became very afraid. It's a naturally intimidating mood, but Madhurya is only sweet. There's no fear there. These are really revealed truths. You cannot find such high truths by searching for them, but I have given you the essence of them and have given some outline. After some time you will forget what I have said, but those who are very fortunate will not forget. This is why I'm personally reading this, because I know what happens, that we do tend to forget very quickly, and we get snowed over by so many other various topics. But these are the heart, these are the specialities. Moreover, although what I am explaining to you is pure, you cannot take it in its pure form or pure sense. Your material conceptions will cover your understandings. You will try to understand them with your intelligence, but please don't speculate. Just hear the truths. Try to have full faith and pray that these truths mercifully manifest in your heart. This is the key. To pray. We're in a very tough situation embodied in this material body, and we want to reach that highest realm. There is no other way except prayer, except the power from that other realm to release us from this predicament that we're in. It's only prayer. And by that prayer, devotion will arise in the heart. Bhakti will arise in the heart. The devotion of who? We're looking to see and follow the devotion of the gopis of Braj. Their devotion is the most excellent. So we are Rag Anugas following the Rag Atmikas. This is our path. Rag Anugas, Rupanugas, following the wake of the Rag Atmikas. The Rag Atmikas are the liberated spiritual personalities. Try to have full faith and pray that these truths mercifully manifest in your heart. These are facts. They are true. You should try to remember these very important things, and then I will continue telling them. I do not know if in 10 or 20 or hundreds of thousands of births you can realize all these things, but still I have given you an outline. And that is very important to appreciate, that this very slim window of perhaps 10,000 years, when Mahaprabhu's teachings are fresh on the planet. Mahaprabhu was only 500 years ago. His teachings are fresh. After another 10,000 years, these teachings will start to become covered. And then again, they will become completely covered. Just like the verse we say, Anapita Chirim Chirat, that not for a long, long time has this personality manifested. So once in the whole day of Lord Brahma, 8,640,000,000 years, this is how often Mahaprabhu comes. And it's only a small window that he actually comes to give us these truths. If we don't connect with them while we have this opportunity, perhaps we'll be thrown into another body. Maybe it might be a pious body, but these truths may disappear from our consciousnesses. So we have to capitalize on them and practice them and churn them regularly. If we don't talk about these things regularly, if you don't discuss in your next meetings together with your friends these types of topics, how will you realize these topics? How will you make an impression in the heart with these topics? They must be continually spoken about, continually churned. Because even just now, in this evening, we're talking these different things, so many different questions arise. And we want to talk about these things afterwards. We want to hear, what is the Siddhanta of Mahaprabhu, Puri, Navadvip, Dwarka, Mathura, etc. All these topics, they need to be constantly revived in our hearts. So that's the end of that chapter. When we're chanting our Gayatri mantras,
but to follow, emulate Mahaprabhu's
Yes. I will show you one lecture. Gurudev was describing this, that we are in like a mood of purvarag. I was describing yesterday, this mood of separation constantly from Krishna. We're in this mood of purvarag, Gurudev describes. It's in one lecture about Vipralamba Bhav. And he's talking about Puri. And because Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has said that we should, just follow the moods of Mahaprabhu in Puri, and that mood of Mahaprabhu in Puri is the highest, was what these people were concluding from Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's words, that actually the Mahaprabhu, because Prabhupada had said that this is who you should follow. You should follow the moods of Mahaprabhu in Puri. So they were concluding that the moods of Mahaprabhu in Puri were the highest. And Gurudev was explaining all of this in this one lecture, that actually Mahaprabhu is highest in Navadvip, but still we should be following the moods of Mahaprabhu in Puri Dham. How can you follow the moods of Puri by doing proper bhajan? No, these were his anubhavs and sattvika bhav. These was his expressions of his own bhajan. What was he doing? He was chanting night and day. He would never even sleep. Govinda would stay outside the door, resting, and he would just hear Mahaprabhu all night chanting. This is what we're following. We're following this. Did Krishna do like this in Navadvip? No. In Navadvip, Nimai was doing all sorts of frolicsome pastimes, and Krishna in Vrindavan also. But in Puri Dham, he's performing the pastimes of his own devotee as a sadhak, and he's showing us how to live as a sadhak. It's very wonderful. So much Sankirtan. Yes. In the Ratha Yatra festival, we see so many different parties, 7 different parties that Prataparudra was witnessing. When Mahaprabhu was in each kirtan party, so much Sankirtan Ras was there. If you read the origins of Ratha Yatra, also it explains more even than this little, that was only one essay. But the origins of Ratha Yatra is even more detailed on these topics. It's excellent, excellent book. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Radha Gopinath Ju ki jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,